March 8, 2014, early morning, Kuala Lumpur International Airport. A Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is waiting to take off at the airport. The direct flight is a Boeing 777. The aircraft was 11 years old when it left the factory in 2003. It is a prime aircraft. The direct flight route is Kuala Lumpur International Airport to Beijing Capital International Airport. A total of 227 passengers and 12 crew members were on board. 154 of the passengers were Chinese nationals. Captain Ahmad has been with Malaysia Airlines for 33 years. He is a very experienced captain. The co-pilot has less flying experience. This is also the usual method of Malaysia Airlines to bring in the old to bring in the new before takeoff. There were two nationals, Iranian passengers posing as other people's passports and boarded the plane. When this was discovered, the flight crew immediately investigated the two passengers. Fortunately, these two passengers were just trying to smuggle people, they were not criminals. At 0:42 a.m., the plane took off normally from runway 32. If all goes well, they will arrive at 6:30 a.m. Beijing Capital International Airport. According to the scheduled flight plan, the aircraft will travel along the Gulf of Thailand, the Eastern Air Corridor, on an arcing trajectory. As the most automated Boeing 77 airliner, once the aircraft takes off, the captain only needs to enter the relevant parameters. The aircraft will enter autopilot mode. The high level of intelligence reduces the burden on the pilot. It also reduces the possibility of operational errors. At 1:19 a.m., 40 minutes after the plane's smooth flight, Malaysia Airlines 370 is about to enter the skies over Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. The aircraft was at an altitude of 10,668 meters. Malaysia Airlines 370 made its last contact with Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia Air Traffic Control. Malaysia Airlines 370, please contact Ho Chi Minh ATC 120.9 immediately. Leave all supervision to Ho Chi Minh to put out. Good night. Malaysia Airlines 370. Malaysia Airlines 370 received good night. At this time, no one will think of this short and ordinary conversation will be the last glimpse of 239 passengers on Malaysia Airlines 370 according to the rules. About a minute later, the crew should have contacted Vietnam's air traffic control, but as the minutes ticked by, 19 minutes had passed, Vietnam ATC never received any news from Malaysia Airlines 370. Malaysian ATC learned the news, began to contact Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 but still did not get any response. At this time, Ho Chi Minh and Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control realized that the aircraft flight is not normal without the command of the tower through the flight busy route. Crashes could easily occur. This is extremely dangerous for passengers and routes are extremely dangerous, yet no matter how much both crews changed the channel or even a call from a nearby flight unit, the signal from the radio was lost. There was no news. After 26 minutes of flight on Malaysia Airlines 370, the signal was beyond the detection range of primary radar. Primary radar relies on the reflection of electromagnetic waves, radar that receives signals, but in order to better monitor the distance, that is, to obtain more information, there is another system on the radar system. It is what we often call secondary radar. It does not rely on reflecting electromagnetic waves, it relies on transmitting signals to the aircraft, the transponder in the aircraft. When it receives a signal from the radar, it automatically responds with a new signal. The main purpose is to identify the aircraft, altitude and heading information. So, ATC detects aircraft mostly by secondary radar. 38 minutes after takeoff, Malaysia Air Traffic Control can still see Malaysia Airlines 370 on the secondary radar. Clearly see Malaysia Airlines 370 when the plane reached the Malaysia and Vietnam airspace border. When Malaysian Air Traffic Control told Malaysia Airlines 370 to contact Vietnam ATC when ATC saw for the second sighting of the Aguri navigation point over which Malaysia Airlines 370 flew, but a few seconds later, secondary radar screen suddenly turned black. At this time, the aircraft had not yet exceeded the range of the secondary radar. Why would the secondary radar screen turn black? There are two possible reasons. The transponder was artificially shut down or the transponder is malfunctioning. If it is artificial, then from the timing of the shutdown, this person obviously knows this very well because at this time the plane was just out of range of the primary radar. If the secondary radar was turned off at this time, that's like putting a cloak on the plane. The British investigators found that the plane just disappeared from the radar. It didn't just crash, instead, it flew for nearly 7 hours. So how did this happen? It turns out that Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was equipped with a maritime communication system. This maritime communication system is also very easy to understand. Is when the communication system, after every hour, the station will automatically send a signal to the aircraft. If the aircraft is still in normal operation at this moment, the station can also quickly get feedback. The most important thing is the maritime communication system on the aircraft that the crew could not turn off. Investigators found that after Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 disappeared from the radar, there were 7 records of contact fierce fighting. The interval between each record was 1 hour. This is enough to show that Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 7 hours after it disappeared from the radar, still in normal flight, so the investigators can be sure based on this point the plane could not have crashed in the South China Sea. Although we have learned Malaysia Airlines was still flying, 7 hours still flying, but unfortunately, this maritime communication system does not have a positioning function, so there is no way to find the exact location of Malaysia Airlines 370. Just then Malaysia released a message. Malaysian and Indonesian military radar shows after Malaysia Airlines 370 disappeared from the radar, the whole plane started to turn towards the west. It went straight through the Malay Peninsula and then started to turn again, heading northwest. The last location of the signal picked up by military radar, it was in the Andaman Islands. The time was 2:22 a.m. After the flight path was confirmed, it was thought that someone had hijacked the plane. Otherwise, the crew flew the plane like this, such an abnormal flight path. It is difficult to imagine the behavior of an autopilot system. Plus, the plane's transponder was turned off by human control. This is just like the 9/11 incident. Although the area of the plane has been identified, but why is the black box not found? As long as we find the black boxes, we can solve all the problems. There are 2 black boxes on the plane, both automatically send signals. As long as we can find the signal, we can find the black box, but as a machine, it is bound to be trapped by energy limitations. The time left for searchers is only 1 month. After that, the power supply will be insufficient, forever silent in the sea after 40 days. Searchers have missed the best search time because the battery capacity of the black box can only be used for 30 days. After 30 days, there is no way to find the black box. Plus, the terrain at the bottom of the sea was complicated. Although they sent dozens of aircraft and ships through the aircraft 100 kilometers of the area where the last signal was sent, the search was conducted. The black box was not found. If the black box is not found, there is also a possibility that the plane crashed. The black box is severely damaged. If this happens, there is also no way to find the black box. But with more data on the crash of Malaysia Airlines 370, Boeing has revealed that Malaysia Airlines 370 before the crash, the last minutes of the experience, when the plane had been flying for 7 hours, the plane ran out of fuel, and the engine slowly began to shut down. The autopilot began to make a sharp left turn to balance the power of the 2 sides. After 1 minute, the left engine of the plane started to die. At this point, the plane lost all power. The autopilot also automatically shut down. The plane lost power and went down in a spiral down the way down and eventually crashed into the sea. The entire plane disintegrated quickly. The search lasted a full 15 months. Covering more than 60,000 square kilometers of seabed. In this way, the searchers should find the wreckage of Malaysia Airlines in the relevant area, but in the end, nothing was found. Not even a single fragment of Malaysia Airlines 370 was found. It's as if it just disappeared into thin air. This is a bit strange. Until July 2015. Someone in the Indian Ocean on a small island, a piece of the plane's gold-1 was found. This is more than 5,000 kilometers from the search site after Boeing's inspection. confirm that this gold negative is the one from Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 and also basically confirmed that all the people on board were killed. In July 2018, Malaysia held a conference, said that after 4 years of search and rescue, 30 pieces of aircraft wreckage were found. 7 of the pieces were confirmed to belong to Malaysia Airlines 370, but about the real reason why Malaysia Airlines 370 disappeared, investigation team also did not find out. In November of the same year, the investigation team of the Malaysia Airlines 370 accident was disbanded. The Malaysian Aircraft Accident Bureau will take over the investigation. So far, why did Malaysia Airlines 370 disappear? Where it disappeared to is still an unsolved mystery. Some even say it is a real version of the ghost airline, although we still do not know what happened to Malaysia Airlines 370, exactly what happened, but I believe that someday in the future the truth of Malaysia Airlines 370 will eventually be uncovered. May the dead rest in peace.